Thank you very much for joining me today, wherever you may be. I'm super excited to have this opportunity to take a deep dive into Google's new app campaigns for engagement, which is, since its announcement, one of the hottest topics in the market over the last couple of weeks. Couple of housekeeping things. First of all, we're hoping that this will run for about half an hour or so. We're going to keep it nice and short and sweet and full of juicy information. We will also be sending the slides that you should be able to see on your screen now out afterwards, so please don't worry about screenshotting them or writing everything down, because we will make those publicly available. And also, there's a question functionality built into our web streaming technology. It should be on the right-hand side of your screen. You'll see a question box there. We will try to get through some questions at the end. We have some time restraints, unfortunately, but we will do our best to get to those at the end. All right, and with that said, welcome everyone. My name is Michael Paxman. I am the product communications lead for Adjust. I'm joining you today from Berlin. It is already, you can't see outside, but it's already a pitch black Berlin freezing cold night here. My responsibility is to travel around the globe to different conferences and also client meetings to both push Adjust sort of ideals and approaches for new challenges, and also to understand what our clients want in terms of new and improved functionality. And today I have the inaudible pleasure of being joined by Lorenzo from Google. So Lorenzo, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yes, thank you, Michael. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here today. I'm joining from San Francisco, from our Google's headquarters. I am a global product strategy lead for app engagement. And what that means is that my team and I work closely with our product teams to make sure to deliver products that make it easier for you to manage campaigns and deliver business results. We also play a key role in outbound commercialization, and we've been leading our alpha and now our beta onboarding process by working with clients across regions and verticals.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Lorenzo. Let's kick off by understanding the challenge that we're talking about here today. Everyone in app marketing knows that attracting new users, be it through organic or paid sources, is not the end of the battle, right? Having a bunch of new users come in only has so much value if they then disappear again. And I think we've all seen some pretty scary, we've got some pretty scary retention graphs on screen for you now. Hopefully yours look a little better than the average. Otherwise, I'm sure you have some pretty tough meetings with the higher ups in your future. Across the Adjust database, we've seen that in Q1 of this year, 1 week retention, 7-day retention rates hover around about 10 to 11% for e-commerce, about 15% for gaming, and just 9% for travel. This is obviously a mounting problem, and as the industry has developed, advertisers who just a few years ago were spending 90+% of their budgets on acquisition are now starting to understand that this is a more significant challenge than perhaps first realized. We've talked many times on the Adjust blog, in other webinars, I'm sure Google have said the same, that re-engaging users can turn into fantastic revenue opportunities, as well as a more viral presence for your app across stores, across promotions, and just word of mouth and online communities and so on. So with that said, Lorenzo, why don't you kick us off with a little bit of context? What is your take on the currently available re-engagement solutions on the market?
Yeah, again, this challenge that you've described, I've seen it many, many times, you know, I guess, throughout my work across, I guess, the globe and across vertical. And just to take a bird's eye view, if you look at the app promotion industry, the market has been evolving more and more towards lifetime value. And there are even more titles that have been around for years. So definitely the spotlight is being put also on engagement. Traditionally, I would say we've seen many ways clients or many approaches that different marketers use to engage their users. You know, these, I'd say, approaches count both organic and paid ways. And on the organic side, you know, tools like emails or in-app notifications are typically the most used tools to drive engagement, alongside with also paid solutions. And that's what we are here today to talk about with App Campaigns for Engagement. This is our dedicated app engagement solution to help marketer re-engage their users. And this becomes particularly important as the spotlight goes on engagement, and as users become more sophisticated on mobile, they're starting to, let me say, express ways that they prefer to be engaged. And for example, in-app notifications are a great and powerful tool, but sometimes it may be a bit intrusive, and we're seeing more and more users opting out of in-app notification. For example, I guess a publicly available stat is that on iOS, 60% of users opt out on in-app notifications on average. So that's why I guess also paid marketing becomes a very important channel to really have a holistic engagement strategy.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You talked about organic versus paid solutions, and maybe in-app messaging or push notifications have a slightly bad rep at the moment. But you just for clarity, you at Google or you personally would agree that it's important to combine the both, right? You're not saying just go paid with retention. It's got to be a sort of hybridization, right?
Yes.
Cool. Otherwise, we were going to have a big fight. Okay, great. But what we're really here to talk about today was Google's approach to addressing these growing concerns, as you said, as advertisers switch to a more LTV oriented strategy, and and solve the problem of users that they acquired not sticking around. Now, at GDC, it was announced that Google is going to be launching this app campaigns for engagement platform as a sort of solution, if you will, to this challenge. So first of all, Lorenzo, can I get a sort of high level breakdown of what this is and how excited everybody should be?
Yes, this is super exciting. There are, exciting times in the app advertising industry for, I guess, us. We've just recently, last week at the Google Developer Conference here in San Francisco, launched 5 new products, and you see them all here in this slide. Today, we're going to deep dive on one of them, which is highlighted, and it's a post-launch product. But before we deep dive there, I just want to, again, we've talked about lifetime value and how important that is. There now, as you see in this slide, there are products and solutions that help the app developer throughout the entire life cycle of the app. And again, here a difference, historically, everyone has been focused on the launch, right, on UA, whereas now we're seeing more focus going also pre-launch and post-launch. And that's what we're going to deep dive today. App Campaign for Engagement is now, since the launch, available for anyone to join. It's a beta product, so it requires a whitelisting, but if you want to join, you can just get in touch with your Google rep and they will be able to whitelist your account.
So this is open for anyone, just get in touch and get going, yeah?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, let's be really honest here. This is exciting. 5 products in one day. I can only dream of launching 5 products in one day. But retention-oriented advertising isn't something that's going to be new to the people who are listening, right? There are platforms, and just as we've been talking about, LTV is getting bigger, retention is getting more focused. In turn, these other retargeting-oriented platforms have also seen, I would say, quite meteoric growth over the last couple of years. So I think you have to come with a bit of a USP and a bit of a unique selling point for app campaigns for engagement. What would you say it is about Google's offering that makes it stand out from the crowd?
Yes, we've seen great performance, I guess, around the globe and across different verticals. And I've brought with me today also some case studies, which I'm very happy to share. But before deep diving, I guess, in the data and on the success stories, at a high level, the value of App Campaign for Engagement are similar to App Campaigns for Installs. This campaigns uses Google's unique machine learning technology to, I guess, look at all the different signals that are available, work out all the possible permutation real time, and find the best combination, I guess, of signals to drive mobile performance across a multitude of inventory. And this is my second point, is we know that the best performing campaigns are the campaigns that use different type of formats and different type of creatives.
Sure. Yeah.
And the beauty of App Campaigns is that you get all of that in one product, and you can get access to app premium inventory such as YouTube or Google Play and even Google Search offer broad reach of different type of audiences. And you can find people also that are in different mindsets, somebody who's very active searching for a specific thing on search, and they're very engaged, versus somebody who's, let me say, a bit more laid back on YouTube watching a video.
Sure.
So I guess this is at a high level, you know, the strengths of App Campaign for engagement. I would say in terms of USPs and use cases, we've built this product with, I guess, the whole funnel in mind. And let me kind of explain that a bit better. At a high level, there are three main use cases that we thought about when building this product from scratch. The first one is high or upper funnel use cases, which is about driving you know, a first action. And that could be an open, that could be a ride, that could be play a game, whatever first action that is. I would highlight here that you know, as Google, we are uniquely positioned to drive first open with App Campaign for engagement, thanks to the integration with Play, where we are you know, able to, in a very easy way, pre-populate an audience list and target users who have installed the app but haven't yet done that first open. The second use case is a bit more mid-funnel, and it's about reactivating dormant users, or what are more commonly called lapsed users. And finally, the third use case is really the bottom of the funnel, and here it's about driving that valuable action inside your app over and over again. And so this is about, you know, purchases, or I guess, you know, whatever your vertical or your business model is, you know, it could be rides, or, you know, ordering some food, whatever, right? So these are the three use cases. And I guess I've brought some success stories around all these three cases, because as I mentioned before, we really saw a lot of success with this product.
Oh, that's great. I was just about to say, we're mobile measurement. You don't get to do anything without facts. So I'm very keen to see these case studies and show us some real numbers. Very quickly, I wanted to talk about the different types of inventory. One of the, I think, most sort of understood and agreed findings in advertising is cross-channel works, different inventory types work. Just so that I understand what you said earlier, this App Campaign for engagement it'll make sure that you are making use of all of the Google inventory without sort of in an efficient way. Is this correct?
Yeah, this is correct. And again, this is not new per se, because App Campaign for install already does that.
Right. But you've applied it to reattribution, yeah?
Yes. So all of the great, let me say, learnings and I think things that we've discovered that work with App Campaign for installs are infused into App Campaign for engagement.
There you go. So other people have already been the guinea pigs, so now we know it works. Great. Okay. I'm not calling anyone a guinea pig, by the way, if you're an early adopter. Okay. So as you said, you got some case studies for us. Very keen to see what these are. So why don't you lead us through them? Yes,
great. I mean, Google, of course, is a data-driven company. We won't, I guess, make any claim without data. We really, you know, want to be sure. And I think also the market and app promotion is very sophisticated, and you know, really what they want to see is data. So with that, the first case study that I brought today to share with you, it's about an app, Garanti, which is a Turkish bank, so finance vertical. And they have 7.3 million digital customers, of which 6.6 are mobile. So they have a huge mobile penetration. And Garanti Bank wanted to really maximize in-app engagement and get these 6.6 million users to come back almost every day into the app. So they built an App Campaign for engagement campaign with a user list that is trying to re-engage users that were active in the last 90 days. And they chose login as an optimization event and have achieved fantastic results. First of all, they've increased their MAUs, their monthly active users, by 5,300 users, while at the same time decreasing the cost per login by 60% and increasing the login volume 16x. So really tremendous success here.
So this is, so the, both, I mean, the 5.3K increase is I would say an unconditional success for the project. When it comes to the decreasing cost per login, was that efficiency also brought about by the sort of logic built into the app campaigns for engagement system?
Yes, this is, let's say, 60% decrease compared to their other channels.
Excellent. Oh, there you go. So Google trying to help you save some money. Excellent. Okay, cool.
And yeah, this is a nice quote that we got from the vice president of the digital banking divisions at Garanti, where he's basically saying how pleased they were with the result of ad campaigns for engagement. Garanti has been one of our first alpha testers, so we've partnered with them throughout last year and really achieved tremendous results. And particularly, they were pleased with this reduced cost per login.
There you go. I don't think anyone's going to complain about reduced cost. Okay, let's hit me with the second one.
Yeah, the second one, again, following our funnel approach. So this was, a higher funnel trying to drive monthly active user. A different use case is this one about Gmail, which is an APAC app developer, and they worked with us to promote one of their games, a role-playing game, and they were really focused on driving, let's say, reactivation of lapsed users. And here, as you know, the role-playing games, the first week you play, it's kind of easy, and then it's probably later in the second or third week where you can start really adding value. And so they want to make sure that players continue to play up to a point where then I guess the experience becomes valuable and interesting. And so they've built a campaign to engage with 7-day lapsed users, optimizing by login again. And this is the login is the event that is between the app open and starting the game, and have achieved, again, great results in terms of return of investment. Again, compared to other channels, they've increased up to 600% the return on investment, and winning back churn user at the same scale with other ad channels, but with lower cost per acquisition.
Incredible. Yeah, I wanted to pick up on one point you said there. One of the mistakes I think that is made in retargeting and reattribution is an overemphasis on users who have converted once, like users who bought a product once or cashed in a game once. Oh, let's retarget them. But like you said, a user who never made it there, it doesn't mean that they're never going to convert. It just means that they didn't get, as you said, they didn't turn the experience into something that they felt was valuable enough for an investment. So I think that's a very good point. Targeting users at any point in their funnel, once they've become a user, is definitely a valuable strategy that can pay off. And I think this case study proves that.
Yes, and then the final and third case study is really the lower funnel driving in-app purchases, let me say, use case. And this is about another game developer, IM30, where they have different titles, but one of their historical title is Last Empire War Z. They have over 50 million installs, and they're really focusing on extending the game lifecycle by engaging high-value users. So these are this campaign is about engaging, your most valuable users and try to get them to become even more valuable. So what they did here is they built a campaign that was looking at re-engaging with their high-value lapsed users. So these were users that were doing an app purchase in the game, but then they've stopped using the game. And so they built a campaign specifically to re-engage this subset of users, optimizing towards in-app purchase. So very different from before, where the other campaigns were optimizing towards a higher funnel event. They were optimizing towards an app purchase. And also here we've seen fantastic results. They were able to drive 10,000 incremental in-app purchases with a 30% lift in return on ad spend and a 49% decrease in in-app purchase cost.
So it really is something that has logic for all the different elements of the funnel, right? Because the GMEI example is users who you don't know how they're going to perform financially, and they just need the extra little bit of sort of paid push to get them to sort of understand how they're going to interact with your app financially. Whereas IM30, sorry, this is whale hunting, so to speak, and this is looking for that super valuable. Okay, excellent. So it really is. Would you say that app campaigns for engagement can cater to any strategy when it comes to reattribution, like from a segmentation or a targeting perspective?
Yes, at a high level, I mean, these are the three, I would say, stages of the funnel. We've seen success, as I said before, across different verticals. And I try to bring a bit of that flavor today with finance and gaming. You know, I could have added e-commerce, travel as well in here. But yes, we are seeing, of course, you know, there are, I guess, learnings and best practices which have to be applied in order to make the product perform, which, you know, very happy to talk more about that. But yes, broadly speaking, it applies to all the re-engagement use cases.
Great. Well, I always push people to retarget not just their whales, but all the users who have potential value. So I'm super happy to see this. With that said, okay, the good news, Lorenzo, I believe you. These are legitimate use cases. I don't think you're making this up. Congratulations. You can stay on the call.
Thank you.
But I think what people want now, really, because we're talking about machine learning, we're talking about Google sort of, you know, having the experiences of these alpha and beta users to build these models and these strategies that work. But it can't end there, right? There must be some sort of setups, tips and tricks that potential customers can use to really get the most out of this. I may get you in some trouble here, but I was hoping you could share a couple of those with us today.
Yes, absolutely.
Excellent.
I would say
no one tell Google, okay? All right.
No, before going into the, let's say, tips, let me just kind of introduce some basic concept of engagement, which I'm sure everyone is aware, but it is important to have conversion tracking and deep linking enabled to run engagement. These are two requirements. If you don't have you know, deep linking, of course, you cannot send users inside to the app. And if you don't have conversion tracking, it's very difficult for the campaign then to understand what works and you know, improve and optimize towards that valuable event. So keep that in mind. I think App Campaign, again, here, I would say the last thing, when it comes to setting up conversion tracking, that's super easy thanks to our integration with partners such as Adjust, whereas, you know, almost like ticking a box, everything is fully integrated and it works. And then after you've done that, there's really three areas that it's important to look at. And on these three are all dependent to each other. So it's not that you do one and you don't do the other one. You really have to look at the three of them as a whole, and then you may push one more than the other and compensate the other. But at a high, let me say in an average level, the first thing to look at is bidding and events. So this is very important that you kind of choose the right event, because in the app funnel, events can go from just app open all the way we saw to the in-app purchase, and there is a lot of different events in between that each, I guess, app developer has. So here it's important to identify, let me say, the best event that is either the event you want to drive, but if that event that you want to drive is too deep and maybe doesn't occur often enough, you may want to find a shallower event that is a good proxy to that valuable event. As an indication of what the machine requires in order to ramp up and learn, we're saying that we need to identify, and the marketer, the advertisers need to choose an event that generates at least 200 conversion per week per campaign. And after you've chosen the event, equally important is to identify what is the right bid. So here the bid should, of course, reflect the value of that event. And it's very difficult to give an indication of what is that value, right? Because there are differences across geographies, across verticals, across business models that play a role here. But on average, we recommend to set a campaign budget of at least 50x your target cost per acquisition if you're choosing a shallow event, versus a budget that is at least 10x your target cost per acquisition for deeper events such as in-app purchase. The second area,
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
I was just going to say very quickly, sorry to jump in. When you talked about conversion setup, I know this is very salesy. I'll do it really, really quickly. If you are using Adjust and you have a question about this, please get in contact with your account manager. Like you said, it really is checking a box. It takes about 30 seconds. But I cannot emphasize enough the importance of making sure that your tracking is not only set up correctly, but is also tested to work correctly. And as Lorenzo said, we have a great relationship with Google on testing this. So I hate to jump in, but I really want to make sure that nobody is sitting in the audience nervous that an app campaign for engagement campaign would not be tracked, because all of the partners, ourselves included, are set up to track this. So please don't worry about that.
Yes, and the beauty is that all of the events that you've set up on Adjust, they auto-populate and AdWords, so you will see them there. The second area I was saying is audience. This is really an important area to, I guess, take into consideration. First of all, because this is the main input of the campaign. When we talk about engagement, we're talking about promoting our app to a specific subset of users. So what is that specific subset of users is the key input of the campaign. And let me say, the output can be only as good as the input. So first thing is really spend time in understanding what are the best way to segment your audience. Again, here, tools like Adjust can help a lot. And also make sure that the audience list size is large enough. Here we give an average indication of 250,000 device IDs to be uploaded on the audience list. But again, as I was saying before, this is all related. So, this is not a requirement, the 250,000. You can build a campaign with much less, device IDs. But then on the other side, you may want to choose an event that happens more often and bid more aggressively, right? So if you kind of have an audience list that is small, you want to compensate that small audience list with aggressive bidding and also finding an event that happens often enough. And then finally, the third point is creatives. I cannot stress enough how important creatives are. As we said before, the best performing campaigns are the campaigns that use all type of different formats and also test different creatives, different messages. On App Campaign for Engagement, we currently accept images, text, and video. And here, for example, if you don't upload a video, you will not take advantage of the great reach that YouTube has. So really important here to have a video. And the other point on the creatives here, we said everything is machine learning driven. Machines, what they love is data. And here the creatives are giving them, the meat to understand and play with to really understand what works. So upload as many creatives as possible. There are huge limits of, let's say, how many creatives you can upload. So I really, encourage everyone to take advantage of this high limit and upload as many creatives as possible.
Yeah, so it's about feeding the machine, right? The more information you give it and the more data, the more creatives, the more options it has, the better it's going to find the sort of best combination based on the results. Is this a sort of the simplest way to understand it?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for that. That's a very thorough rundown. I wasn't really expecting that many tips and tricks, really. Just looking at what's going on with the product now, I know that this is a relatively new venture for Google. What are some of the things that have come out recently that are the most exciting, would you say?
Yes, it's been lots of, development that we've done leading to our launch announcement last week at Google Developer Conference. One above all that I will mention is images. We now run on an image format on AdMob, and we've seen a huge increase in performance and scale. And I think it's fair to expect that as we are going to add new formats and new sources of inventory, you can expect scale and performance to go up.
Awesome. Yeah, we don't have to talk about the quality, the effect of good images in advertising. How about, oh, very quickly actually on that point, can you imagine any sort of strategies coming out of this? Now that images are available as a creative, would you combo them with text as
Yes,
well?
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yes, you. And again, here when we say text, this is in reality is not really text. This is an image ad that
has
Google
text on it.
automatically creates, but the advertiser inputs the text, right?
Got
So
it.
we would get the text from the advertiser, but the actual format is an image that is automatically built from the screenshots and the information that we have on the App Store. And then there is also the real images where the advertiser can actually provide their creatives, and we would use, whatever they provide. So yes, absolutely, you should combine the two of them and try different experiments and see what works best.
Awesome. Maybe do like, a pair of shoes as the image, and then the name of the app as the text, something, these sort of things, right?
Yes, exactly.
Makes sense. Cool. And how about what's next? I'm going to assume that this is not the end of development as things grow and progress. So what's on the horizon?
Yeah, no, not at all. There's lots coming up. We have a very exciting product roadmap for the rest of 2019. I would say at a high level, there are two areas we're focusing on. One is drive scale. So like I said before, we introduced images. The next thing that we're going to introduce is video on AdMob, because that's something still that is not enabled. And then we're going to start experimenting with Play, which is a whole new source of inventory that is going to, I guess, unleash even more scale and reach. And then the other area is ease of use. We hear loud and clear that when it comes to create an engagement campaign, there are things that acquisition campaigns don't have. And one above all is this notion of audience lists. And how do you build the audience list, and how do you, I guess, upload that audience list into Google Ads systems, and then manage that list to make sure that it stays fresh throughout
Right.
the time that the campaigns run. So we're really going to double down on audience simplification, making sure that there are as little, if not zero, steps to really get the campaign up and going.
That sounds awesome. I can't promise anything, but I'm sure Adjust will be involved in this process because nobody likes opening Excel to see 10,000 device IDs in 2019. Okay, well, Lorenzo, thank you so much. This has been a super thorough rundown. I'm sure you're going to get in lots of trouble for all the secrets you've given away. We do have a couple of questions. We'll take these very quickly. While we're answering these questions, if you do have one, the question button is, I think it's just up on the right-hand side of your screen. Please feel free, but we're going to wrap up relatively soon. So if you've got a burning question, now is the time. The first question is, I think this was asked at the start, is it possible to get the slides after the talk? For those of you who missed the first couple of minutes, the slides will be available. So if you've screenshotted them all, you can delete them, because I assure you they'll be coming in crisp format shortly after the end of this webinar. The second one is one for you, Lorenzo. Is the audience list size of 250K, is that just anyone who has installed the app?
I guess
What
that's the
qualifies
starting point,
them?
right? That's the starting point. You want to, this is a campaign that is meant to re-engage users. So they already have the app installed. So that's the whole ecosystem that you can target. And you can also build a campaign that targets all the users that have your app installed. But then you can go more granular from there, and you can segment this audience list and slices and dice it as you wish. For example, we said before, I Am 30 with Last Empire Warzy, they were just targeting their high-value lapsed users, as opposed to Gmail that was targeting any lapsed users. So again, the 250,000 number, as I said before, it's a guideline, not a requirement. It's almost like a best practice, let me say.
Sure.
We've seen campaigns perform with much smaller lists. But as I said before, then it's really important there to really pay attention to the events and bidding, let's say, area of my tips, if you have an audience list that is smaller than 250,000 device IDs.
That makes sense. You did mention before that because of Play, you're quite uniquely positioned to be able to target users who have downloaded the app but never launched it. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Because again, here basically, as you said, thanks to the integration with Play, we know if the user has the app installed. And then thanks, I guess, to the information that we get from partners like Adjust, we also know if the user has opened the app or not. So it's very easy to create a combination list and target users who have installed but haven't done that first open, and really then make also your acquisition campaigns much more valuable, because you're going to turn more installs into post-install actions.
Right. So just wanted to make sure then. So just to be clear about the systems, for Android, Google obviously has that unique incentive insight, into these downloaded but not launched users. For iOS, you would need the tracking SDK, Adjust, for example, to have been initiated at least once. So it would be first launch and onwards. But I think the answer we're giving here is it doesn't matter how far that user engaged with the app or for how long. As long as they have some sort of presence on this list, the machine will be, or the Google machine will be able to sort of process it and look for the best sort of retargeting strategy for each user. Make sense? Cool. Next one, we got one or two more. The next one is from somebody where I am, perhaps not Berlin, but in Germany. Is this product available in Germany yet?
Yes, it's available globally, everywhere. So there is no geographic restriction. There are some, vertical restriction, like, protected categories that we won't allow advertising. But in terms of geography, is available everywhere.
Everywhere in the world. Great. Next one, I think this is the last one. Do the campaigns only work based on manually uploaded lists, or can we also use the retargeting lists created directly in Google Ads?
Yes. So I think here the question is has kind of two questions inside. One is if campaigns are manual or automated, and the other one is if we can use the retargeting list created directly in Google Ads. So on the first piece, campaigns are not only manual. Actually, the one of the beauty of partnering with Adjust is that you can create lists based on events, and via, let me say, pings that we have with Adjust, we are able to automatically build lists, for example, of lapsed users in the last 7 days. And as these users become active or lapsed, we will automatically upload the list and keep it fresh throughout the duration of the campaign. The other piece, which is use the retargeting list created directly in Google Ads. I'm not sure if this refers to Firebase or not, but there is a audience tool in Firebase which allow advertisers to build lists, and there's also some kind of hints on what type of list you can build. So yes, this is something that is on the roadmap for the next quarter. So basically starting from April until the summer. We believe that before the summer, we're going to be fully integrated also with the audience builder functionality of Firebase.
Great. Yeah, just to sort of jump on what you said about events, the way it works with us is for every event you have set up, we then offer the ability to turn on and off dynamically per event what you want to share with Google, and then Google will be able to build those lists of, a user who has done this and this but not this, or this and this but not this. If you also want to take it a step further, you can use our audience builder, which is functionally the same thing, but we also add metrics like presence in the app, lapsed time, paid versus organic. You can also do cross-channel and things like this. But as you said, Firebase as well. Really, it's just get as many lapsed or present users as you can, and let the machine do its magic. I think that's quite a good strapline for it, really, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe just for clarity, because we've talked about different audience lists, and this argument, may be confusing because there's a lot of complexity in here. Mm-hmm. But just to bring a little more clarity on all the things we've said, I think when you talk about user lists at a high level, there are 3 types of user lists that we support on App Campaign for engagement. The first one is what we discussed, the event-based lists that are built via pings and are dynamically created and maintained. And that's one type of list. The other type of list is what we call customer match lists. And these are basically, we have an API, but you can also do it manually if you want, where you can just basically inject a list of device IDs into the system without without that list of device ID doesn't have to be necessarily based off of an event, but it can be based off of other CRM signals that the app developer has, or even demographics. And then the third type of list is what we call automated list or system list. This is like the first open I mentioned before. Thanks to integration with Play, we have the ability of building lists on behalf of the marketer without them needing to input any device ID. And one list that we offer today that is under this type is the all user list. So we can create a campaign that re-engages all of your users without the, I guess, marketer needing to input any device IDs into the system.
That's great. So really a solution for anyone, really, no matter how they're doing their data management and their tracking and so on. That's great. But I'm not saying you don't need attribution, or I will be murdered after this webinar.
No, you need attribution.
I couldn't agree more. Okay, well, Lorenzo, that is all the questions we have and all the time we have. I'd like to thank you very much for your time today and for the insights. How would people be able to, if they have any more questions, perhaps, is there a place they can reach out to talk to someone?
Yeah, the best place is to reach out to your Google account manager, and they will be able to direct you to my team where we can, onboard you on this product.
Great. And if you have any questions about attribution or about Adjust, or if you'd like to get in contact with me, you can email support@adjust.com and we'll get back to you very shortly. All of our account managers are up to speed on our campaign for engagement. It is even I can set it up. It is the easiest thing to do in the world. Okay, Lorenzo, well, thank you very much for your time today. Enjoy the rest of your day in San Francisco. And to everyone watching, thank you so much for attending. The slides and the write-up and so on will be made available in the very near future. And that's all. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.